Coming to you from an undisclosed location somewhere deep in the heart of the Santa Monica Mountains, I am your intrepid host, L.A. Marzulli. Welcome to a long-awaited edition of Questions with L.A. I am your host, and we'll get into your questions. But first, a word from our trusted sponsor. It turns out the key to losing weight and keeping it off is not in carbs or fat or even probiotic-rich foods. Nope. The end game of having a healthy weight, as well as more energy and a long, healthy life, comes down to a specific switch you can flip in your body to flush out unnecessary calories. Dr. Stephen Gundry is calling this caloric bypass. And by activating this specific process in your body, he has seen thousands, that's right, folks, thousands of people dramatically improve their health, even at age 50 and beyond. This includes losing weight, getting tons more energy, and returning to the good health they had in their youth once they simply address this one key to better health. Not only that, this is actually associated with improved digestion, strong feeling joints and muscles, smoother skin, healthier lives, meaning it could be the key to a happy life. Dr. Stephen Gundry has lost 70 pounds himself using his research and has kept the weight off for over 20 years and counting. His digestive issues are gone. His health is fantastic, and he feels younger and healthier today than he did in his 40s. His video has been watched by over 20 million people to date, and you can watch and learn more about this at healthyfat.com /LA. That's once again, thehealthyfat.com /LA. Once again, thehealthyfat.com /LA. Folks, it's linked at the bottom of this video, and Dr. Gundry will teach you exactly how he kept his weight off. Once again, it's thehealthyfat.com /LA. If you've got a question, shoot us an email, questions@lamarzulli.net. I do apologize. There's so much going on. We only do one show a day. Right now we're doing, I think, 7 shows a week. So basically every day. So much is happening with the whole UFO phenomena that I've kind of put questions on the back burner. And also the vault. I haven't done a vault in a while, but we'll get into that. But let's get into this. From Valerie to LA. We are seeing articles on, I'm not making this up, folks. This is not orchestrated in any way. So this is really interesting. To LA. We are seeing articles on UFOs more and more in air and stories of crashes. Some stories say with crashes there are dead pilots. And it's my understanding that the UFOs we're seeing are actually the fallen, which confuses me, as I'm also the understanding that the fallen are immortal. Are the pilots Nephilim? That's for any help here. Look, it's taken me years to come to grips with this. This is my take on it. First of all, there is technology. And people go, well, hey, what if fallen angels need a flying saucer? Well, we know that the angels of heaven are above the Syrian army. 2 Kings, look it up for yourself. Elisha, the prophet, is there with his servant Gehazi. And Elijah says, hey, Gehazi, you go outside. Then he says, Lord, open his eyes. Gehazi goes out, and what does he say? I saw the chariots of fire above the Syrian army. What is a chariot of fire? A chariot is a mode of transportation thousands of years ago, and fire is what illuminates everything. These things are glowing just like they are today, but those are the good guys, which immediately begs the question, why do the good guys have angelic craft? Gary Stearman saw one up close. Our good friend Matt Freeman also saw one up close. He prayed to the Lord that the Lord would show him one of the good guys, and he's flying on a plane, and there's nothing, and all of a sudden in the distance, he's on the window seat, coming right at him is a UFO. What are we to make of that? This is what I think. The enemy, the fallen ones, are using the UFOs to transport the grays. And this is a 3-hour conversation. So the grays are the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim. What are the Nephilim? The progeny of fallen angels and human women, creating a hybrid being known as the Nephilim. During the flood and afterwards, when a Nephilim was killed or drowned in the flood, according to the book of Enoch, and I know some of you will merely get your hackles up, why does Jude quote the book of Enoch? You don't quote something unless it's part of your spirit man or your spirit woman. You just don't do that. Jude quotes from the book of Enoch. It was widely read in his time. The book of Enoch was more than likely read by Jesus. Hello. Because if Jude's reading it, his older brother, half-brother, I should say, Jesus, more than likely said, hey, Jude, check this out. That's conjecture on my part. And I'm being a little glib here, as Chuck Missler used to say. But that's okay. You know, there is humor in the biblical prophetic narrative. Why do you think he created us? Anyway, I digress. The disembodied spirits of the Nephilim become the demons which wander the earth. A lot of people don't get that. A lot of people say demons and fallen angels are the same. They're not, in my humble opinion. Fallen angels are the ones that fell, along with Lucifer, Satan, i.e. the dragon. Thousands and thousands and thousands, who knows how long back it goes, how far back it goes. I think it goes back millennia. I think it goes back perhaps even millions of years. We don't know. But the host of heaven just isn't created, then they kind of go, yeah, let's have a rebellion. Okay, what's that? I don't know, but we're going to do it anyway. That's not what happens. This thing may have taken eons to promote, and finally they do the unthinkable. They rebel against the El Shaddai, Most High God. How does that work? Well, it's not working out so good. And we all know their fate eventually is in the lake of fire. But Genesis 3:15, the seed mingles. Genesis 6, the seed is mingling. The Nephilim are on the earth. The flood happens. The disembodied spirits of the Nephilim wander the earth. The enemy knows this. The fallen one knows this. He creates an avatar. The grays that we see, in my opinion, are meat suits, body suits, avatars for the demons to inhabit. How do they get from point A to point B? Right here. This is how they do it. That's conjecture. Karen Wilkinson has backed me up on this. Other experiencers that I've talked to have backed me up on this. So there you have it. This is from Terry. Well, my mouth was hanging open. First, thank you for your service in God's army. My sister recommended your YouTube. We are both completed Jews. I have had 3 experiences that are odds with scriptural narrative. And 65 at 3 years old in New London, Ohio, I had an encounter with 2 beings playing in our front yard. I ran to get a ball. When I started towards the ball, it was daylight. Oh boy. On the cusp. In 10 steps, give or take, reaching the ball, it was now dark. My playmates gone, and the biggest, brightest moon, this is not good, I have ever seen was above me. It confused and frightened me. As I turned to run to the house, I noticed 2 beings in runny green suits, like wetsuit material, large eyes, long fingers. The size and build of a 10-year-old child. Wow. Larger heads and eyes. They were working in unison to move a picnic table in a neighbor's backyard. They stopped and looked at me, and at that moment I thought in my mind, they created us, which I took to mean spacemen created me. I ran into the house and told my mother. She wrapped it up. Let me just stop you right there, Terry. You had missing time as a child. There's no doubt about it. Those entities that you saw were the Greys. Absolutely, they were the Greys. You had missing time. You had missing time. You were taken. What happened after that, I don't know. Was it multiple times you were taken? I don't know. But you were definitely taken. And those entities that you saw were what we call now the Greys. They are, as I just said, meat suits, avatars to encompass, to house the demons that wander the earth, because demons can only manifest when they are in a person or in an animal or in an object. That's it. They have to inhabit something to manifest in our dimension. Age 4 was my second experience. I was riding in the backseat of the car. My father was driving. As I looked at his profile, his skin disappeared, and I could see cogs of machinery in his head. A thought was conveyed to me that my father was not capable of love. He was a machine, and he would never grow old to have gray hair. I wonder why I was thinking that, and more importantly, why is my father a machine, and who is telling me this? My father was a mathematical prodigy. He worked for IBM writing codes in the early days of IBM in Kingston, New York. Brilliant mind, he would calculate like a computer. I would race him with a calculator. He was killed in an auto accident in 1977. The day before his death, he had me dye his hair because he was getting gray. My assumption was these were all messages from God. Very intense. Backtrack. At age 12, 3 years prior to his death, he took me into the bedroom and he had a mini tape recorder he was showing me and said, I want you to understand that your mind is like mine and you can move mountains with your mind. He then dismissed me. I never understood that encounter. My father was a brutal, evil man. We all feared him. After thoughts and questions, demons, I would assume, is what I was encountering. They are at an advantage with a young audience. These things have stayed with me. I was never able to reconcile alien God scripturally. Prophetic thoughts that come to fruition, lying signs and wonders. Could my father have been a hybrid? And did he know it? I am starting to think there was an agenda. It could be the great deception. Would this not be resolved through DNA? I was always fascinated with DNA. We were knitted together in our mother's womb, and DNA resembles knitting. 2 years ago, I was being led to blow shofar. I do it daily, but did not understand why or who would hear it until you discussed it in one of your videos. Demons hate the shofar. Seems like Jesus, the Messiah, is giving me weaponry to use in the spiritual battle. I agree. They do hate the shofar. It clears the air. It's not magic, but it clears the air. When held in a believer's hands, that knows who Yeshua is, that knows who Jesus, the Messiah, is. When you blow that shofar, it clears the air. Let's continue. This is from Mike. I am currently going to Calvary Chapel of the Harbor in Huntington Beach. It's a good Bible teaching, but they don't teach Genesis correctly. My question, are there any churches near me that teach Genesis 6 correctly? The nearest I found was Rock Harbor in Bakersfield, Brandon Whole House Church, too far. Tom Hughes, 4.5, church in San Diego, too far. I understand that, and that's why we're online. We go watch Pastor Dan and Cheryl Plord down in Jupiter, Florida. Calvary Church, Jupiter, Florida. You can Google that. We check Dan out pretty much every Sunday. That is our church. I'll be speaking there, by the way, again for the third year in a row in July, talking about all things UFOs. So you're right. You're right. There's not a lot of churches that teach it. And in my opinion, when they don't, they miss the entire thrust of the entire biblical narrative, because everything hangs on Genesis 3:15. The offspring of the woman, Jesus, the Messiah, will crush the dragon's head. The dragon will bruise his heel. And that is the rest of the deal. This is from Richard. Maria Serene. Should we pray for this young lady? Absolutely. In my opinion, with all due respect, what is inside of her is not good. And you just leave it at that. Just pray for her. Lift her to the Lord. Pray that she would understand what salvation is and understand that there's only one way to the Father, and that's through Jesus, the Messiah. That's it. It might sound really narrow-minded, and I get that. Some of you out there will say, oh, you're just being religious, L.A. No, I'm not. I'm speaking reality. There is only one way. The blood of Jesus atones for everything, past, present, and future. And when a person accepts the Lord, when he says, I don't know whether you're real or not, I did this 45 years ago, but if you are, come into my life, I'm a sinner. Okay, I get it. I've done stuff I'm not proud of. I'm in bondage to this. I'm in bondage to that. I do things I don't want to do. Some people call that sin because that's what it is. Lord, come in, save me from my sin, wash me clean, wash me white as snow. My daughter actually sang that song, Wash Me White as Snow. It's a song I wrote years ago when I was a worship leader. Wash me white as snow. Only he can do that. The blood of Jesus, right, washes us. The blood of the Messiah washes us clean, white as snow. Ask him, what are you waiting for? Why are you resistant? Yeah, you, I'm talking to you. Why are you resistant? What's so hard about asking him into your heart? Maybe the thing inside you doesn't want Jesus. Ever think about that? Maybe that little voice in your head that's saying, don't go there, don't, stop, don't do it. That's the very thing that's keeping you in bondage. Let's move on. This is from Marzulli. L.A., do you believe the recent sightings in the sky are associated with UAPs that have been sighted in our oceans, creating Bermuda Triangle-like disappearances? There are so many missing people in Alaska that they are rarely discussed, and often associated with the lakes or certain wilderness regions, and often include strange water-related sightings. Thank you for daring to go where other Christians haven't. Our modern-day churches abhor speaking on these subjects. Yeah, I'm not boasting here. I've been kicked out of churches. for my take on this. I've been ridiculed. I've been called all sorts of names. I've been called a false prophet. Wow. A false teacher. All these crazy things. You know, Jesus died for you. He died for me. What's false about that? I don't teach prosperity. I teach the full gospel of Jesus, of God, the full counsel from Genesis to Revelation. I think he's coming back soon, more than likely next Wednesday, but I'm not a date center. So the deal is this. The oceans are very deep, miles and miles, and they're mostly unexplored. There's a trench out here between Los Angeles and Catalina Island, okay? It's one of the deepest ocean trenches on the planet. UAPs, USOs, underwater submersible objects, have been spotted for decades, going in the water, coming out of the water. In fact, the USS Nimitz was more than likely in that area down in San Diego, but that trench goes a long way. And that tic-tac shape object above the water, that's Commander David Fravor. By the way, that's the first rung on the lateral disclosure. Commander David Fravor seeing that, engaging it. And when he cut across the circle and went at the thing, it jammed his radar. That, my friends, is an act of war. And it shot away like a bullet out of his gun. I'm quoting Commander David Fravor. Like a bullet out of a gun. Those G-forces would kill any human being. How do they do that? Got this from Bob Lazar. They bend space and time around the object. They bend space and time around the object. And that's how they're able to do it. It's a propulsion system. Have we back engineered it? Engineered it? More than likely. Let's continue. And this is from... Yes. Do you have any thoughts about this artifact in Sauk County, Wisconsin? The raised image of a horned walking giant is attributed to the Indians, but could it be more? I'm familiar with this. There's a skull with horns on it. The late Russ Disner and I were actually going to see one, and we got word that it had already been removed. Because once some of these things can sit in some little museum someplace, but once someone sees it and posts something on YouTube, it's gone in a second. I'll give you an example. There was a giant skeleton, 9-footer mummy, that was in a museum down in the Gulf of America. And unfortunately, this woman got on social media and started yakking about it. When she went back to photograph it for us, it was gone. It was gone. That's how the game is played. If you see something, if you've got something on your property and you think I need to look at it, send me an email, la@lamarzulli.net. There's a woman that allegedly has a very large femur bone. I've emailed her twice, but she doesn't respond. But if you've got, if your great-grandfather was messing around in Ohio and you've got something stashed in the barn, shoot me an email. I think you understand what I'm talking about. If you've got a giant 28.5-pound accent or a 30-pound accent, give me a call, la@lamarzulli.net. Thank you so much. Here's another one. This is from Shannon, actually Emerson Mansell. Hi, LA. My name is Emerson Mansell. He's using his mother's account. I am 11 years old, and me and my mom, Shannon, love to watch your show on YouTube. I have always wondered about cavemen and dinosaurs. As a kid in kindergarten, I knew that Adam and Eve were the first people, but they teach that cavemen are. I was just wondering. Hope you see this. From Emerson and Shannon. That's a great question. That's a really great question. And I will say this. If you want to do a deep dive on this, get G.H. Pember's book, Earth's Earliest Ages. G, as in God, H. Pember, P-E-M-B-E-R, G.H. Pember, Earth's Earliest Ages. You want to read that book. You want to read that book. A great example of this is where did Cain get his wife? Some people will say, oh, well, they just multiplied, and that was his sister that he married. Possibly. But there are other alternatives to that, and I'll just leave it at that because it's very controversial. Was there a pre-Adamite race? Read G.H. Pember's book. It's all there. I'll do one more and then we'll go. This is from Kevin. Have you interviewed Dr. Joy on her research on the Shroud of Turin in her book about the body of Jesus being cloned from the blood on the shroud? I saw her on Uptime Community Church on YouTube recently and thought this was right in your wheelhouse. She's not the first person to talk about this. He ends with this. Keep your hand on the plow, and I pray God will bless and protect you and your family. We need protection. We covered your prayers, absolutely. The enemy never sleeps, but greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. Or the L.A. Marzulli translation, greater is he that is in me than the scumbag that is in the world. But we covered your prayers, we really do. Here's the deal with that. A friend of mine wrote a book called The Blood of Heaven, and he basically posited that someone took the blood from the shroud and cloned it. That's really interesting. That's really interesting. And this is another reason why he has to come back. Gil Zimmerman, my business partner, and I are working on a film, Holy Shroud, Holy Fire. We were hoping to have it out in February, but it's not. We've had some technical issues and family issues that have sort of delayed the post-production, but we probably get it out in March, God willing, and you could keep us in prayer for that. I do not believe that you can take the blood of the shroud and clone that and get another Jesus. I do not believe that for a second. I will say this. It is AB blood, and we know that the Sudarium of Oviedo and the Shroud of Turin, when you overlay the face cloth, the Sudarium of Oviedo over the face on the shroud, there's well over 60 points of congruency. That cloth, which has been in Oviedo, Spain since the 7th century, was on the same body that was taken down on the cross, from the cross, I should say, and that wrapped the head. Because when they took Jesus down from the cross, before they did that, they wrapped the head. And that cloth is the one that's folded near the body in the tomb. That's why there's two. There is the Shroud of Turin, which I call the calling card of God, and there is the Sudarium of Oviedo, the face cloth. That's it for today. If you've got a question, questions at lamarzulli.net, questions at lamarzulli.net. And don't forget our Run to the Disclosure. What are you waiting for? runtothedisclosure.com. It's an interactive website. You can go there and watch a presentation that I did at Prophecy Watchers. They let me use it. Thanks, guys, over Prophecy Watchers. And by the way, I will be at the Prophecy Watchers conference at the end of March. I will be talking about the one world government system. How do you get to a one world government and one world religious system? Right here. That's what I'll be talking about. And the second cock, I'm still kind of ruminating on, cogitating on also. And besides that, I'm thinking about it too. Just being a little glibber, as the late Chuck Missler used to say. Thanks for watching. Don't forget the 10-box DVD set. It's all there. We're the only Christian ministry that have actually in the field. We talk to abductees, cattle mutilations, 2 films on Roswell, crop circles. It's all there. I want to thank my business partner, Gil Zimmerman. Hope to see you in Orlando. God bless you guys. And if you've got a question, don't hesitate. And we'll see you back here real soon. Thanks for watching.